writing stuff that gets taken specifically for audio, gets taken and other things are done for it. So you write something, but then you think of in terms of someone will perform this, then there'll be sound effects, and then there'll be music. You know what I mean? It'll be packaged in something with a nice cover, and there'll be a hell of a lot of stuff that you don't necessarily have control of, or if I'm directing it, I get to enhance it in other ways. And I had this terrifying moment in the middle of it thinking, it's just me, isn't it? It's just my words. That's all they have to get this story and every bit of it. And I had a real moment of lack of confidence, but then suddenly megalomania took over, and I thought, yes, it's just me. So I kind of got through it like that. I thought I turned the disadvantage that was upsetting me to an advantage. I thought, well, I've got to really revel in this and enjoy it, and people have been very nice about it. I'd love to write another one, but every time I mention it to Justin, he goes, I just need to go to the toilet or something. I like the way I ended that story with the words "go to the toilet" or something. Thank you. Hello.
When you're writing Big Finish, what Doctor do you find as easiest to write for?
Oh, okay, that's interesting. What Doctor do I find it easiest to write for? At the moment, I'm finding it easiest to write for the fourth Doctor, Tom Baker, because when he became the Doctor, I was 12 years old, I think, around about that age. So it was through my sort of formative teenage years when you really sort of click into what it is you like, and you start, if you're into a TV programme, you don't just watch it and marvel at it, you start, if you're interested in that kind of thing, to analyse it and what works and what doesn't work. And for years I kind of was a little bit sort of not admitting my love for Tom Baker, because he wouldn't do Big Finish, so I was a bit sort of, Tom Baker. And then when he said yes, it was a real revelation for me. I thought, he is the Doctor of, Patrick Troughton is my favourite Doctor, but he is the Doctor of my teenage years. And so I kind of, without sounding too mad, I can really hear his voice in my head. And plus the fact, having worked with him a lot now, I kind of know what Tom does and doesn't like to do, and what you can and can't get away with Tom. Talking of getting away, that one was off. It is that dull, it's time to escape. Yeah. Is that sort of, I do like writing for all of them, but and also Paul McGann as well, because we've sort of created new stuff for Paul, and we feel like there's no ceiling on it, even though we now know what happens at the end of the Eighth Doctor's life. Okay.
I was wondering, when you do the voice acting for Doctor Who, have there been any lines that you have been given that are quite difficult to do in the voices?
Any difficult? Sometimes, when I'm doing the voice acting on set, on the TV series, there's a lot more pressure. So if there's a particularly long Dalek sentence, that, when I'm doing it on audio, I feel I have the license to stop and pick up, and you know what I mean? But when I'm doing it on set in Doctor Who, it's a much more, I can't really afford to mess it up, because they'll stop the take and have to reset everything, And it's very weird, because I'm sitting with all the people who are watching the monitor, and so I'm sitting with the director and the continuity person and the sound person, and they all know me and they know I'm there to do that. But at any one time on the set of Doctor Who, there could be all sorts of extraneous people. There could be, the head of drama could be visiting, someone who knows the head of drama could be visiting, the family of the head of drama could be visiting, the families of several actors could be visiting. And this often happens, so there are all sorts of members of the public and strange people sitting around, and then suddenly, and they may not necessarily have been introduced to me or know who I am, and then suddenly, in front of them, because they can't hear the effect's happening on the set, as far away as where the fezzes are, for example. With a speaker, those are fezzes. Shoot them. And so I'm just there, suddenly standing up, and they're going, well, this is how Doctor Who gets weird. And there's me going, you will now! And they're going, what's that strange man doing that really weird voice for? So sometimes that's difficult. And the fact that I really have to, and also have to change between different Dalek voices quite quickly. Again, on audio, I tend to leave a pause to get myself into gear to do the different voice. But you can't do that when they're shooting it. You have to do it as quick as it's required, you know. I always remember when I was doing I'm sort of skirting around your question. I can't think of a particularly difficult line. I remember when I was doing the Daleks and Cybermen together in that one, what was it called? I can never...
Doomsday.
Army of Ghosts.
Army of Ghosts, that one, yes, and that other one. And I was doing it, and I was having to change the settings on the ring modulator to have the Daleks and Cybermen talk to each other, and they kept saying, why is there a pause between the two voices? And I said, because I literally am going, you know, having to twiddle two dials, yeah, and it just took that amount of time to do it, and they were complaining that there was a milliseconds pause, you know. So it can be quite pressureful, but you know, that's what they paid me to do. But I can't think of any particular line. I can think of the stress of doing one particular line. There was a Jadoo line in Journey's End, or the other one, or Stolen Earth, and they didn't have me on set to do it, but they wanted to record it when in the middle of a section where we were doing Daleks, and they said, oh, could we just do that, please? And it was when everyone was there, all the companions, you know, and they just said, hold on a sec, and everyone sort of just stopped and stood still on that big Dalek spaceship set where Davros and the, you know, the mental Dalek and that one was there. And suddenly they said, Nick, can you just come on and do that? And everyone stopped. I remember Billy Piper just sort of went, and everyone looking round, and I just walked into the middle of the set, and then a microphone just came down to me, and I just had to sort of go, you know, like, and then, of course, you know, and then Billy was going, what was he doing? She'd never heard of the Jadoo, you know. So that was a very pressureful moment. I thought, if I don't say kofo, bomo, you know, correctly in front of these hundreds of assembled people, I'm going to look really stupid. Can you imagine half an hour later and I was still messing it up? It would have just been the end of my career. Thank you.
Right, I think time for one last question from you.
Okay.
Hi, it's lovely to meet you. You've obviously worked with the current Doctor on Torchwood. First of all, how did that feel? And also, did you think, oh, this guy could be the Doctor in a couple of years' time?
Oh, no, I didn't think that he could be the Doctor in a couple of years' time, because I thought they were only ever going to cast really young people. That's the first thing. I did think he was the most amazing actor. And as I've said before, which some people have given me a bit of stick for, when I met him, I thought, oh, Peter Capaldi, I was so admiring of him as an actor, and I went over to introduce myself to him on the set, and he turned around, saw me coming across the room, stopped me in the middle of the room, and said, you've no need to introduce yourself to me, Nicholas Briggs. Oh my God, what's it like to be the voice of the Daleks? And he was being such a Doctor Who fan, he was impressed to meet me, but, you know, sitting near him on the set, and we spent the rest of the time just gossiping about Doctor Who, you know, just larking about and chatting about it, and him asking me questions. He's so enthusiastic about it. And then when he's sitting near me on set, and suddenly when he's required to play that part, you know, it's very what's the character's name? Frobish or something? Yeah, very haunted character. Just to be so close to him when suddenly he assumed that character, and you know, all the worries of the character came over his face, and it's just sort of. And when I heard that Stephen Moffat had got him to do a reading to be the Doctor in his house, just sitting in his living room, I suddenly thought, I mean, obviously he's right for the part anyway, but I thought that I've experienced that magic of being next to Peter Capaldi when he suddenly assumes a role, and it's like, you know, witchcraft. It's quite incredible. So I just thought, yeah, you know, that's obviously. But I'm massively excited that he's doing it. And when he came in to do the regeneration and was having his makeup tests, I saw him then, and you know, he remembered me and was just going around and saying hello to everybody on set. I mean, everybody, you know, it's a lovely chap. It'd be nice to work with him one day.